Why is it? I never chose to come into this world. I had no say in the matter. Somewhere in a hospital in Los Angeles, city of and county of, a cry filled the early morning hours, and I was rudely ejected out of the womb where it was warm, and I was fed, and it was safe and comfortable. Not only that, when I came out, Vietnam was going on, the 60s, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, the crazy stuff, Grateful Dead, the Beatles, the Civil Rights Movement. America was going through some extreme growing pains of a young generation that wanted to throw off all the shackles of restraint and old-fashioned ideologies. Women threw away their razors, threw away their bras. Men, well, they enjoyed and indulged themselves in the hugest, what they call love fest ever. Woodstock culminated in a rainstorm and mud and sweat and poopy diapers and smelly people and all the sex, drugs, rock and roll you could throw a stick at. Michael was born into all of that era. A year after I was born, the grandest era for me had come to an end. The Queen Mary steamed her last voyage ever from England, across the Atlantic, all the way down to the bottom of Tierra del Fuego, and back up the west coast of South America, and put the helm with finished with engines at last in Long Beach, California, where I was adopted out of. One was born, and one came to end her career and be repurposed into a floating museum. The poor ship is taking wear. The decks have rotted and they've replaced it with plywood and makes me sick. The Queen Mary from the side still shows the beauty of an era gone. And it's 2026 and another liner is about to be disposed of, which bothers me. I wish I could have been well off enough to purchase the thing, sandblast every square inch of it, replace steel that was bad, and if I had my way, make that baby run faster than it ever was. The SS United States was bought by the city of Oskaloosa, Florida, to be sank as a reef and a diver paradise. I don't understand why people want to dive in a metal hull that's been stripped of everything. Big holes will be put in it. They pulled all the windows out, the smokestacks. It's like sinking the world's largest sea container. What's the point? Her guts were ripped out of her. Her engines are still there. Her engines that set a speed record, proving that at one time America could do something and they could be asleep at the wheel while Britain and France and Italy and Germany were going back and forth to compete with the fastest, grandest, most majestic liners. The U.S. wakes up out of its slumber in 1952. The SS United States was launched longer than the Titanic, wider than the Titanic, all fireproof. The U.S. proved once again that they can perfect something, and made in the USA meant something. The SS United States was an incredible masterpiece, designed by William Gibbs and a joint venture with the Navy. She could be afloat for 6 months without refuel and resupply. She was made with the idea if there was a war, she would be quickly converted to a troop ship. In my life, I've seen the QE2, the France, and now the SS United States that sat idled for years and decades in Norfolk, Philadelphia, now down in Mobile, being stripped of her dignity, her pride, and she has become a symbol. When you look at the paint peeling off, the rust streaking her beautiful hull, she's exactly a spitting image of what America looks like today. Why did God bring me into the world? Why did He allow two parents to adopt me that didn't understand me? A mother who was immature, who would clam up. Why do they let people become parents that have zero skills? Why do they give a test to learn how to drive an automobile, but there is no test for parenting? And we kids become the guinea pigs of the immaturity, the insecurity, and the damage that our parents bring into the world with them. Why is there so much suffering? You're too loud, you talk too much, you're too hyper, you're too flibbity-gibbet, you eat too much. Nothing was pounded into me more than I was worthless, 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 an inconvenience. Why do you think I wouldn't want children? Because I feel the same way. I don't want them. I don't want them in my house. I don't even want to deal with them anymore. I'm a survivor. I could have gone to drugs. I could have committed suicide. But in 1985, God saved me. But I still didn't get it right. I suffer the criticism that people give me because I'm honest and transparent. You got self-righteous Karens, and you got ridiculous men on here condemning the way I dress. You're not quite right. You're not quite right. You got mental problems. I do indeed have mental problems. Absolutely. Absolutely. But when I look around in society, so does everybody else. Oh my gosh, if you looked out there, people are stupid. People are crazy. They don't drive right. They can't even operate a motor vehicle. But hey, I went to college and I'm a CEO. Yeah, you can't use your turn signal. Okay, congratulations, douche. And that's our society. We worship heroes. We worship football stars. We worship sports. And now women are worshiping their four-footed beast that licks its butt, drinks out of the toilet, eats poop, eats dead things, and then licks her face. And some sleep with that in the bed. Gross. Honesty is dangerous. You could lose a job. You could lose friends. You could lose a reputation. I was told as a kid, honesty is the best policy. A preacher said, honesty is the only policy. Abraham lied about Sarah. She's my sister. And when they were in another town, she was so beautiful, the guy almost had sex with her, and God said, He said, why'd you lie to me? Take your men servants and your cattle and get out of here. People lie to protect themselves. Then you got people that live without any fear of anything. The guy I work with failed a drug test Thursday. And I'm like, good. He's finally out of here. I was told that by my supervisor. He's gone. I said, well, why is he still here? He says, because they sent it to the lab. They got the stick, but apparently they sent it to the lab, so there's no legal wranglings. And I've noticed the last day and a half, he's very subdued. Yesterday, he was just not doing anything. He rolled a swivel chair, sat down, and I said, what are you doing? Can you do this? Can you pack this? Can you pull this? and that he's starting to give up. And he just paid money to start wearing the company uniform. He failed a drug test once. And he was told 90 days, you're watched. If they do a random, you will pay for it out of your check. And if it tests again, you're out. I smelled the pot on him. I smelled it several times. One day I looked right at him. He towered over me and I went, "What you smelling, Mike?" "I don't know. I smell something." "What you smelling, Mike?" "Something." "Do I really got to tell you, dum-dum?" That's when Gazoo needs to show up. "Hello, dum-dum. It's marijuana, stupid." Why do people do that? And I watch people in Augusta. They have a chance. But I noticed he was being a jerk to me. I'm trying to teach him, and he's rude and obstinate and absolutely disrespectful. I'm like, dang, why didn't they fire him before the weekend? That would have been good news. Now we got to wait till Monday or Tuesday. What does Augusta have a lab that's all the way in Hong Kong or something? And a friend of mine brought up a very, very plausible, in Augusta, because you have the majority of a certain ethnicity there. Most places probably don't drug test, so they have to send it away to a lab. And who knows how many people in the lab, how many drug tests that lab receives. I was born through no fault of my own, and now today there's a race of people telling me I'm privileged. Really? Can I cash it in? I was thinking, I just want enough money to not have to work anymore. Ha ha ha, right? I want enough money to buy a Deuce or a 5-ton and be able to afford the fuel and use it as a daily driver and not even think about it. I don't want a mansion. I don't want to wear all these fancy clothes and play little games and join country clubs. That's one thing I can assure you. Money doesn't change me. Money just reveals what is within. I want me a truck. Better than what I had. That's what I like. I don't want a mansion. If anything, I want to downsize my house and go to a smaller one on an acre of property. I'll be 60 in March. Most people have figured their life out and they're done. They've got their investment portfolios and they've got this and they've got that. Yeah. But I made a lot of mistakes. I chased women, many. None of them are in my life today. Sand in the hand, it slips through the fingers. I made bad choices because of the family I was in. Love and sex seem to be compatible. Love is not sex, and sex is not love. Intimacy to me is always associated with Victoria's Secret and bras and negligees and eroticism. The first time in 6th grade when a girl's arm brushed my arm when I was playing table Frogger at the Supercade in Mammoth, the first video game arcade, which a guy by the name of Bob owned it, and he let me clean the toilet and sweep a floor for extra tokens. He says, you can get extra tokens or a free hot dog. Back then, the hot dog didn't have the thrill that the tokens did to play Tempest. Missile Command was stupid. Galaga. Man, in the 80s, we thought it would always be like that. But like a giant ship moving across the ocean, the propellers keep driving her forward. And all you do is you stand and look over the stern, and all you see is a wake. The 80s are gone. The music's still there. You could still buy some of those Midway stand-up video games. Why? Now you got a tiny little PS3. The liners are gone. The arcades are gone. Well, unless you go to Dave & Buster's, which is just ridiculously overpriced. It doesn't have the character that the old local arcade did. Nothing does. We mass-produced it all. Applebee's, Waffle House, McDonald's, Booger Fling, Jacked in the Box, came apart. Oh, came apart. It's gone. Sears, surprised JCPenney's still around. Now we got Dress Barn. Aren't you glad they got Dress Barn? Some of the ugliest, pathetic fashion I've seen on American women to date. What happened? Cars called Kia, Prius, a Toyota Sequoia. Wow, the corporate mindset is amazing to me. Let's name a car a tree that doesn't move. And you get some corporate geek buying. Yes, I bought a Toyota Sequoia. Why, aren't you cool? You bought something called a tree. The Toyota Tundra. Who comes up with these names? At least Jeep had the Comanche. I'd like to design a line of trucks. The captain, the general, and the commander. And the lieutenant is for poor folks. I'm so tired of pickup trucks today. Give me a truck with all steel door panels, steel dash. Give me the old stuff. Mike, you could die in that. You could die in a new truck. They go so fast. We got anti-lock brakes and they do dumb things. I watched a clown on a Canada interstate on YouTube. Pickup truck. Hauling butt through snow-packed road, trying to pass everybody. He fishtailed, caused a cube van to fishtail, going around it, and he shot through the median to the other side, and a semi-truck hit that thing so hard it just went. There wasn't a recognizable piece of non-mangled steel. Instant death. Because you're in a stupid hurry. Everybody's in a hurry today. Everybody, go, 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 go. For what? Antiques? A grand old era? No. For the next fix, for the next obsession with the store and the mall and the stupid stuff. Why did God bring me into this dumb world? What is my purpose? Well, the Westminster Catechism says the chief end of man to know God and enjoy Him forever. This morning I sat up in my bed when I woke up. Before I turned on the light, I got off the bed. I sat there and I said, God, thank you for loving me. I have a hard time believing that. I have a hard time believing it. This world is so unloving. This world is so harsh. People doing drugs and getting drunk. Women and men treat each other like TV dinners. Even my supervisor says, I'm going to go home and get my DICK wet tonight. That's it. Relationships don't mean squat. And even for me, who's a thinking man who lives inside my head more than anywhere else, I was used to it. Sent to the corner, sent to my room. My mother had a catch on my door until I was at least 10 years old. Get home from school, shut the door, and put the catch on it. Man, if I was in today's era and that happened, CPS would have ripped me out of the home. My mother would have been in jail for the stuff she did. Fact. It's not my fault I was born. I didn't understand what I was going through. I didn't understand anything. All I knew, I was a kid in diapers at 4 months, and I got parents leaning over my crib, puffing in cigarettes, and they couldn't understand why I was colicky. Oh, the smoke, man! I hate cigarette smoke. The stink. I had a woman get on my channel. You pissed me off when you talked about marijuana. Well done. Get off the stuff. Where are my rights? I had to be trapped in a car, trapped in a house, my mother smoking her trues. And if I said a word about it, I was called intolerant. Mom, that cigarette smoke is bothering me. You're so intolerant, Michael. No, you are an addict. Wow, I wish I could go back in time and be as bold then as I am now. No, you're an addict. Your addiction is more important than my health. And I support any act to punish and penalize any parents that don't allow their children to be in a smoke-free home and a smoke-free car. Absolutely. Cigarettes should be banned and wiped out. They're stupid. They cause cancer. People who smoke should pay $100,000 a month for health insurance. Why do my premiums go up for all the unhealthy clowns in America? Don't get me started. You want to smoke pot? You want to get drunk? Your premium needs to go through the roof. You're 350, 400 pounds, your premium should go through the roof. When you're slender like me at 60, a doctor should be able to file a report and say, this guy should pay $25 for full coverage. No copays. This guy lives right. Our society doesn't reward good behavior. It punishes it. Only in your clueless mind. Hey, Lawrence, this is for you. Thanks for the comment. My mind is more clue-full than yours is. Do you have a channel? Do you have a picture? Of course you don't. You're just one of those internet skid marks in a toilet bowl. Sorry, folks. I'm still working out my salvation. I'm really good at sign language. I learned when I was in the Philippines, they use that over there. A big lumber truck pulled out in front of the family vehicle I was riding in and literally pulled out, almost hit him, and he honked the horn, and the Filipino driver went like this, and I started laughing. The ones said, that's not funny. I said, no, I'm laughing because I didn't think they used the middle finger over here. And the driver said, Michael, that's a universal signal around the world, brother. I said, oh my gosh. I went to China to try to find myself. I hit a midlife crisis in my 40s. It really did happen. I took off my shirt. I had a medallion around my chest, but I never bought the sports car. I just went to Hong Kong and chased young, pretty women around. I had repressed myself. And I repressed myself because I wanted to gain the approval of my mother and father. How many times we live a lie to please people that we have no business trying to please. How many times do we condition ourselves to not rock the boat? And I'd like to know if you got the notion. Rock the boat. Don't tip the boat over. No, I say rock it, baby. Send a tsunami into people's world by being you. And if they can't handle it, they need to go to high ground or be washed out to sea. Am I dysfunctional? 100%. But I'm high functioning dysfunctional. Remodel my house, put money in the bank, pull up my pants like a big boy, whether I feel like being a big boy or not. Face the day when I feel like quitting. Face the morons I got to deal with in the workplace, on the road, in any city, any town, America. You don't get to choose that. There is no place paradise. I can move to Tahiti and there's idiots over there. I can move to Pongo, Fiji, anywhere. There's always the local resident clown. That's one thing I've learned. Why was I born? To make a YouTube channel to go wah, 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 wah? Maybe. Don't we all ask those questions? There's people who suffered more than me and they've asked, why am I alive? I'm alive Da, 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 da. ELO, great song. Even here, I get on here and I get nothing but these cargo ship loads of these all over the internet. My message to every one of those is booyah. Trolls are idiots. They think they're smart. They think they're cute. Often they don't have a picture because their face looks like that dude in the disco canteen on Star Wars, Jabba the Hutt. I love arrogance. That's a fruit of the devil. I shall be like the Most High, he said. And people out there, people who sit on a toilet and poop and stink. I've never met a man or a woman that has scented poop. Have you? We buy air fresheners, we buy Febreze and Lysol, but there is no such thing as scented poop. You can buy snowman poop, little white fluffy candy, but there's no such thing as scented poop, and yet you got people out there, oh, I'm hot because I make big money and I bought this fancy car. Wow, what a skill. You bought this car that somebody else made. Wow, no one else can do that, right? How is it that people get so puffed up in their mind because of a house, because of some trophy wife that's only with them because of their bank account? You're stupid. I'm sorry, I know women, I know them well. If I want a pretty, slender, attractive woman, I better at least dial in at $1 million. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. Woo! Am I going to get in trouble for this? All that's available for me is damaged, broken goods that's left in a thrift store that nobody wants. You ever gone down the bric-a-brac aisle? I'm like, and me and my friend, who buys this crap? But watch it. Some little old lady will come over there. I've been looking for this my whole life. I'm like, okay, somebody wants that. But they can say the same about what I have in my room and house. Who buys that crap? Why would anybody listen to him? Why would anybody date him? Why would anybody like him? Damn good question, huh? Am I likable? Am I lovable? God says he loves me. Why? I disappoint him. I let him down every single day. Why does he love me? That's the mystery, my friend. I can't answer that. If I had created the human race and saw what they would have done in the same instantaneous second I said, let there be, I'd say, let there be no more. Every proton, neutron, electron would explode and would go poof, like the TV screen in the old day. A line, done. Thank God I'm not God. Thank God you're not God. Some of you would have me gone. I always say I'm harmless to society. No, you're not. When you got saved and believe the truth, you are a danger, and people want to kill you, shut you up, malign you, falsely accuse you, and terrorize you. That's the kind of people we have in this world. Look at what happened to Charlie Kirk. Crazy. Why was I born into this world? I love ocean liners. I don't like cruise ships. I have no interest in going on a cruise ship with a bunch of bimbos. Why do I want to go on a cruise ship? People get drunk and you see the finest of the fleet, and now you got Carnival Cruise, which has turned into ghetto cruise lines. I'm sorry. I know I don't dress the way they dressed in 1912, but I think I'd rather ride on something from the era of the Titanic and hear waltz music and violins and walk teak decks and see woodwork and leaded glass windows and fancy. I would just love to walk throughout the voyage through this massive ship and just go, wow, down in the engine room. I mean, everything was on a grand scale. I'd like to stand on the stern, hold the rail, and look out over the butt end of the ship. I'd like to stand on the bow and feel the wind in my hair and go up to the bridge and hold the wheel. I'd like to step out on the wing of the bridge and look back at 4 giant smokestacks with smoke billowing out of them, and go, now that, you can have your little rice rockets. Give me an ocean liner on a vast ocean, propellers churning through the cold waters, portholes streaming warm light, beautiful music, beautiful food, beautiful architecture within. And we all do that. We all become like that ship. I liked the ocean liners. From the waterline up, the hull was black. And above that was the white gleaming superstructure. And in the funnels, the color and the markings on the funnels were how you could tell which company owned the ship. Cunard had red and black. White Star had buff, or the yellowy color, and black. P&O had P&O on them. And I looked at photos of some of these ocean liners in their ballrooms and their fancy public rooms. The Titanic had a reading and writing room, which was just beautiful. When you were in there, you felt like you were in a mansion stateside. Big windows with draperies, carpet, tall ceilings, and you're like, because of the Titanic. Middle school, I was reading horror stories, Towering Inferno, Amityville Horror, Jay Anson 666. I wasn't saved. All this stuff. And I picked up A Night to Remember. I read it and I couldn't put it down. I'm like, this is a ship? You talk about dumb. I didn't even know what the Titanic was. I read the book and I caught the fever. That interest in the Titanic got me into icebergs, Greenland, Antarctica, the Arctic. It got me into ocean liners. It got me into antiques. It got me into classical music. And when they came out in the 80s with hooked on classics with the beat in it, life just seemed to come together for me. I love walking through antique stores and seeing the old stuff. I can picture the men in the smoking room of the Titanic. A smoking room. I mean, smoking is gross. But the smoking room of the Titanic was phenomenal. Mother of pearl inlay, mahogany antique, and fancy woods, some of which you cannot find anymore. And the craftsmanship in there was unbelievable. Go in today's modern bar. Dingy, dark, ugly. The smoking room was posh. What I wouldn't give to have the inside of my house look like that. Arched leaded glass windows with detail, beveled pieces of glass inside. Man. And it caused me to sad when you see the sub going across the debris field between the stern and the bow with contents spilled all over the ocean floor, and you see this gleam of light gleam back at you, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's one of the windows out of that room laying there. I don't know why God chose to breathe an existence into me. And I may never know why entirely, except for one thing. For some reason that I cannot understand, and as much as I try to understand and give to you sound biblical insight and what I believe is a sound view of political world and what's going on, I cannot understand why God would make us, put up with us, endure us, and want us to have a love relationship with Him. I cannot fathom that. We're sinful. Some people pick their nose and eat it. Some people don't wipe properly. And God loves humanity. Why? If Jeffrey Dahmer had confessed the Lord and cried out to God, he could have been saved. Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, Napoleon, any of them, Stalin, Lenin, that just blows the circuits. Why would God want a relationship with a cold-blooded communist killer? Don't know. Don't know. There's a hymn, something about the love of God, and something about if the oceans were ink, it wouldn't be enough to convey to us the love of God. Speaking of ink, Martin Luther, the Protestant reformer, nailed his 95 Theses at the church doors in Wittenberg, Germany, but his house still stands. And, he had the old inkwell and the quill pen, and he felt the presence of Satan one night so bad that he hurled that thing at the wall, and it broke, and an ink stain went poof. They claim it's still there. They claim it's still on the wall. And he penned the words of a song that most of us, my age on down, has no clue of. A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. And you ought to read all 4 lines of that hymn. He was smarter than most of us clowns today. Though our ancient foe doth seek to work us woe, his craft and power are great, and armed with cruel hate. On earth is not his equal. All these trolls, all these haters, that's the fruit of the devil. I never claim to be perfect. I'm not. I never claim to have arrived, but just to be honest, to be transparent, to have a little dancing, man, the criticism and the hate and the stupid comments is unbelievable. And you ought to ask those trolls, so what kind of a world do you want? Bloodshed, hatred, and violence? Pretty much. When you try to be nice, when you try to be real, people want to destroy that. As the black people always tell me, don't let nobody steal your joy, Michael. Wow. And something's trying to destroy it every day, isn't it, folks? Why was I born? Why was I born too late? Why couldn't I have been born in the grand old era and got a job on the docks working on a big ship and moved my way up? I hate college. I hate the complexity of this life. I hate the corporate world. I can't stand it. I hate the games you got to play to, survive in today's workplace with, I look at people as U-boats and submarines. Something innocent could land you in the dang office. Wow, I like your outfit, Sally. Mr. Nelson, could you please come into the office? Shut the door, Mr. Nelson. It's been brought to my attention that somebody was uncomfortable when you made a comment to her. Oh? And what was that? Well, Sally said you said, nice outfit. She felt very uncomfortable. Oh, she didn't tell me that. Isn't protocol to let me know that that's offensive? Don't do it again. Now, that hasn't happened to me, but it's happened to people. And in fact, as goofy as the world was when I was born into it, with the women and men acting like decadent idiots in the Woodstock Love Fest, and a lot of those people went on to become judges and politicians, and we wonder why our country's whack. A lot of it has to do with what came out of the 60s. And that young generation did not make this world a better place, by the way. People are still addicted to that crappy music. Grateful Dead. I mean, come on. Janis Joplin? Half that stuff back then was crummy. It was just LSD based music. We all live in a yellow submarine. I thought it was about a submarine. Some people think it was about drugs. Who knows? I'm not proud of the 60s. The 60s was an earthquake fault through America. Yeah, chat is turned off. For those of you that are asking, I turn it off selectively on some videos. Jimi Hendrix sucked. This was my opinion. In the era I was born, a lot of that music was ugh. I remember growing up in California in the 70s and 80s, you saw hippies all over the place. They'd buy an old school bus, paint it, put paisleys on it. Love, peace, all this. Love, not war. I guess they forgot what they stood for. Love, not war. And then they became the very people that declared war on our society and a war on our values. And they say, make love, not war. Well, give me a break. Then that's the way it always is. The people promoting something are the ones that are not modeling any of it. And if there's ever a group of people I can point to systematically, say has a problem of living what they claim to believe, that is the Democrat left. They cannot, do not, will not live what they believe. They're filthy rich. They line their wallets while telling everybody that socialism and you will own nothing and you will be happy. You'd have to induce us on drugs for that to happen, stupid people. You got Zuckerberg who bought up all the property around his house so that nobody buy property to be next to Mark. Who wants to move next door to Mark? I don't. There's some people, no, I wouldn't like you to be my neighbor. I wish Facebook would implode. I truly do. I wish Google would implode. They're corrupt. We use them. I don't use Facebook anymore. Guy at work told me he's been in Facebook jail so many times. I said, man, I had a reserved jail cell on Facebook. Finally, they shut me down, didn't tell me what it was for. They said I violated their community standards. Do you know what Facebook community standards is set by? Women with green hair, hairy, dyed green hair under their arms, and their face looks like a tackle box. That's what works for Google and, yeah. The ones you see protesting in Seattle and Portland are the ones shutting our accounts down. Fun, huh? And now I live with the reality that there's been some pretty women that like my channel, but then they hear something I say and poof, they're gone. I cannot be all things to all people all the time. Therein lies the curse. To thine own self be true. And suddenly I see myself like, well, that small group of men on Iwo Jima struggling to raise the American flag. If you cannot own your views with confidence that even you're the only one on top of the mountain trying to plant your flag, shame on you. Shame on you. Even if I'm alone in my views, so be it. My views make sense to me. At the end of the day, it's a universe that has order. There's God, there's his commands, there's fallen man. He said, don't eat of that tree. The woman was the first one, said, give me that fruit, baby. God's holding out. And feminism started right there. Why did Satan come to her before Adam? Because she's the weaker vessel. And why do men fall so easily today? Because Satan uses a lot of women to manipulate us and control us. Satan knows the way God wired us, and Satan has perverted it. And can I confess to my viewers here, if you got children, you might want to get them out of the room. Okay? I believe God's word is a fact. Just because it's 2026, just because we have a SCOTUS and a POTUS, that doesn't change that book. Supreme Court can legislate anything they want, but they will have to give an account to God. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, boy, they mourned her death and everybody celebrated her life. She's in hell. She's in the lake of fire, or will be thrown there. That woman had a face that clearly said, I don't have joy and I don't know God and I support killing 61 million children. People don't like it when I say that. Well, let's say it the way it needs to be said. But even me, I remember Isaiah, when God showed up his glory to Isaiah, it says, depart from me. I'm a man of unclean lips and dwell among unclean people. So it is with me. I have desires in me that are so wrong. Mozart, classical composer, he was an absolute womanizer. Rachmaninoff suffered severe depression. His music was the impetus for, was it Carmen? All by myself. Now that, I cannot listen to that. That is a song, if you're contemplating suicide, that, well, that'll push you over the edge. I dated a girl who wanted to play that over and over. I said, man, can you turn that crap off? No wonder you're down all the time. I like melancholy music, but whoo, that's too much. I'm depressed. I need to go get counseling. You know, if you turn off the music, young people, that you're listening to, some of that depression would go away. If you listen to the tempo, have you listened to what they're singing about? You got this attitude, this young generation to listen to this garbage stuff with the swear words and a B word and the N word and this negative drivel, and it's oppressive. I hear it come down the street. There's nothing melodious about it. It's depressing. It's from the enemy. You're feeding your inner man with messages from the devil. How's that going to cause you joy? But even me, I've been infected and affected by the culture. I had a woman get on my channel and leave how many verses of scripture about moral purity. And I just said in a video, the clip that I saved from the short, or saved from a live stream, I said, I will not listen to a woman. I will not sit at the feet of a woman talking about sexual purity. And what does she do? She gets on my channel and starts quoting scripture to me. I guess you didn't hear what I said. That means you, lady, and your 99,000 cat videos. People get mad at me for that. People get mad at me. Oh my gosh, Mike's against pets. Yeah, I'm against the society. See, I grew up in a home. Let's put some context to this, shall we? I grew up in a home where my mother was not affectionate. She wasn't demonstrative. She was a bit of a B word, to be honest with you. She was a nasty woman. Oh yeah, I had presents. I had clothing and food and, somewhat middle class life. But I was locked in my room when I came home from school. I was, my dad overdid discipline. And I couldn't relate to any one of them. And even when I became in middle school and I got into the Titanic and antiques, you think my mother would have beamed because she had, booths and antique stores, and she was all about antiques. My mother says, the last time I talked to her, well, we never bonded. Well, whose fault is that? I tried. You bonded with your natural born daughter. You reinforced to me that blood is thicker than water. Good job. Good job. You like kids and you favored her children's children. You know, when the natural born daughter of my mother had kids, oh, I lived in Minnesota. My parents never came to visit me. But when the natural born daughter and her husband moved to Minneapolis, oh, they wasted no time in buying a new minivan and took my little sister's kids, and took a road trip to go see her. And I said, wow, I lived up there 5 years and nobody came to see me. And they hadn't even gotten their stuff unpacked. And mom and dad head up to see her. Nice. What did that reinforce to me? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Now you got some butthead coming in the channel saying something about my ex and my son. As if though he's some moral compass. A stalker, a hater, a clown, ugly one, BO, sweaty, acne, bleh. Get on my channel for 11 years. Disgusting human being. And you can't stop it. Google shut down this. Oh, you violated our standards. What about the video this butthole left on Monster of the East saying, Michael McGinty Nelson, if you don't take your channel down, I'm going to crush your bones and burn your skin. I and hundreds of people have complained, and the thing is still there. Google doesn't care about us at all. They want you to monetize. They take 40% of the cut. Not only is the world not our friend, but I learned a long time ago that my value is less than pot metal in today's world. You know, people get caught up in the Hot Wheels. I have too. You know, they're cool. But this is a dang ghetto graffiti bus called Ain't Fair. How'd you like to ride that in the hood? Die-cast metal. When I was a kid, the bottom and the body were die-cast. Now it's plastic bottom or die-cast bottom and plastic body. This one has plastic bottom and partially die-cast body with a lot of plastic. Die-cast is terrible. You bend it once, it breaks. It's junk. People come onto my channel and said, this guy has no self-awareness. Really? I have no self-awareness, huh? I've been made to be aware of myself since I was born. I'm hyper, I'm loud, I'm flibbity-gibbet. My mother, when I came home from school, never said, hey, Michael, how was your day? The Brady Bunch was as foreign to me as it gets. It was not like that. And yes, I wasn't this perfect little boy. But the problem is my mother had no understanding about child development, and something called an individual. She would compare me with my oldest sister. She's got a job. She works at a bank. The key word there is she's a she, Mom. I am not going to be like her. Then you got this Andrew Drescher geekster who grew up spoiled by his mommy. His dad's now dead. Pampered lifestyle. Went to the military because mom and dad were in the military, and he's a clown and an asshat. And Andrew Drescher, Michael talks about everybody. 1 minute he'll call me a racist. Then he'll go to get on the Encyclopedia Dramatica and say, Michael dates Niggers. He did that in 2015 when I was dating Mamisha. Wow, I thought you were against racism. I'd like to find that black guy that's got the chevrons on his arms that you're with in the military and show him some of your handiwork there, dude. I've dated women from all ethnicities, and you know why? If I love a woman and a woman loves me and she's attractive and we got what it takes to make it work, I don't care if she's coal black. I don't care if she's from an island and grew up in a village climbing coconut trees, picking fruit. That's nobody's damn business. But guess what? I see my life in some ways like the liners. I'm a rare ship, beautiful in my own way. Had some rough starts, but it's crossed this ocean several times. Now I'm still sailing, symbolically through life. I've said it. I'm born in the wrong era. But is that true? Does God believe that? No. When you look back at the underside of a quilt, it's ugly, all these threads and God is sewing and doing a tapestry and making a canvas of us. And all we see is the ugly side. But one day God's going to flip it over. We'll be with him in glory. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. But you got misinformed Christians that think that getting on my channel and throwing scripture around as a weapon, you're supposed to be pure. Yeah, I know that. So keep telling me what I know, dum-dum. I'm not pure. And I'm sitting here giving a blow-by-blow of why I am a lot of what I am. I didn't grow up in a loving family. I didn't grow up in a well-adjusted home. And when I got saved and became an adult, things got even worse. I have no contact with my mother today. Because it's just so toxic. Even my wife of 14 years said, I notice when you get off the phone with her, you are very tense. Yeah, I'm very uncomfortable talking to her. My mother had fear over me all my life. It took me to my 30s to finally, when I was living in Denver, to finally say, I've had enough of this. Oh my gosh. And it was so bad the way this happened. Remember the old tractor feed printers with the holes on the side and had the gear? Well, I had an old computer and I typed it all out. When it went to print it, it print a paragraph on one page, skip 3/4 of the page, print. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was so frustrated. I'm like, I'm not going to try to print this and write it all again. So I took the tractor feeds off. I stapled it all together, packed it up in an envelope, said, "Fook it." She can read that. My dad went over to my little sister's house and said, well, Michael did it for good now. He just got himself out of an inheritance. And my sister called me. I said, really? They were going to give me an inheritance? That wasn't even in my brain. I wanted a relationship with them. They can have their stuff. I don't need their stuff. I don't need their money. And that's why I bought a house. That's why I did what I did. To prove that God is Lord and God will. So in many ways, I've arrived. I'm human. I worry about the future for me. My eyesight is shifting and changing. What if I go blind? There's nobody going to take care of me. And I said, God, you keep bringing me right to the scariest thresholds. Why? Why? He said in his word, he will never leave you nor forsake you. We as Christians will debate atheists and have no doubt about what we believe. But when it comes to God being personal to us, we shake in our boots and lack faith. Our pastor years ago at an Assembly of God, he's passed away. It was a shock. Some of the 2x4s I used in the back room are from him. He serviced forklifts. And the lumber jumped up so high, and he goes, Mike, I talked to some people. They've got pallets with 2x4s, the long ones. And I asked them, if you came, could you take them? And they said, yes, they want them out of there. I pulled the nails and fought. The wood was almost petrified. Thought, well, the termites ain't gonna eat these things, they're so hard. And I used quite a few of them. They were tough to work with. But that pastor and his kindness is built into this frame of that room. And he gave each one of us at church this. You see that? That's a mustard seed, people. And Jesus said, if you have faith as a mustard seed. Do you know what he was saying? He was blasting us. Most of you don't even have that much faith. Ouch. This just blows my mind. That becomes a big tree, by the way. And for all you clowns who believe in evolution, you're so full of cheese whiz, it's not even funny. That did not happen by accident. God put all the computer program into that tiny, itsy bitsy, eetsy weetsy minutia thing to become a giant tree. You can't do that, people. So what? You can remodel your house. You can restore a car. Ooh, impress me some more. Can you speak something into existence? No, you can't. So sit down, please. And I am in that. Do I have faith as a grain of mustard seed? Doubtful. I can argue and defend the word of God with any rabid atheist anywhere. Give me a university professor. They won't trip me up with anything. They believe lies. And then people wonder why I started dressing this way and pushing the envelope and just doing things. That's how I find out about my world. Social experiments. Because my mother wouldn't approve of this, that's why. My mother wouldn't approve a lot of things I've done. She joined the Catholic Church years after I got saved because my sister, my cousin, and I all got saved, and then she decided she wanted to play religion. Problem with Catholicism is it doesn't teach you to be born again. It teaches you to do these works and think you're going to earn your way to heaven, which is the height of arrogance. That you think that you've got within your heart the ability to earn merit with God is truly arrogant. Number one, you don't understand how holy and perfect he is without sin. Being religious is an affront. It is the same thing as Satan saying, I shall be like the Most High. And people say, Mike, you're religious. No, I'm not. By definition, we're all religious. You all will do something every day. You'll get up, you'll go to the toilet, you'll do this, you'll pay your bills, you go to work. That's religion. Doing the same thing, doing the dutiful things. But God in Christianity is about a relationship. Don't confuse the two. Religion damns people to hell. And Karl Marx was half-assed when he said that religion is the opiate of the people. he's half right and he's half ass. Atheism is also the religion of the people. Communism, Democrat, socialism. And I'll say it again, I've said it before. Anything with ISM is funny. Communism, socialism, Buddhism, Mormonism, Catholicism are things to stay away from. Say, God is the author of peace, not confusion. Religion muddies the waters, confuses the soul, leads people astray. It's all part of the devil's orchestra to make sure that people don't get saved. I'm getting tired of YouTube and showing these Mormon commercials with two people. Hi, that whole Hallmark background thing. If you want to read the most boring stuff you've ever read the Book of Mormon. You'd have more fun reading the Senate minutes than that. It's complete garbage. Garbage. Mormons claim that, Joseph Smith claimed that there were ancient civilizations in America that were state of the art, and all they find is broken pottery pieces and arrowheads. That's one thing. What people who come up with false stuff fail to realize, archaeology can verify or deny that. Meanwhile, you can go to Israel and you can find archaeological evidence for Jericho, cuneiform tablets. You can find all kinds of things that verify the Bible is indeed accurate. The only people that deny the existence of God are clowns and fools, hiding behind science. What a joke. The devil's a liar, and he's lied well to most people in the world. Broad is the road that leads to destruction. Why did God choose me to be born? I don't know. But as long as he gives me breath, as long as he gives me my faculties and I haven't lost my mind, I'll continue to tell the truth. Am I perfect? No. Am I supposed to be? To get to heaven? Yeah. You realize that? To get to heaven, you had to have no sin. That's why Jesus Christ was sent. He followed the law perfectly, was without sin. That was the acceptable sacrifice, the only sacrifice that God would accept. And if you place your faith in Jesus, the blood has been applied to the doorpost and lintels of your life. And the Passover is the angel of death passes right over you because you're secure in Christ. People better start studying the Passover again. Silly little people go on about Christmas and Christmas trees. The very word Christmas is disgusting to me. Christmas. It's not even Christ anymore. It's Christmas. Crisco. It's glop. Christ Mass? We don't do Mass. That goes back to ancient Babylon. Y'all want to read a book? You guys want to defend Catholicism and get mad at me and butthurt because I call it out? Catholicism is called the whore of Babylon in Revelation. Read this. Published in 1920. Read it. Write that down. I'll hold it up. Write it down. Find it. Get on Amazon. Find it. You think you're so smart? I dare you to read this book. If you want to defend Roman Catholicism, I dare you to read this and tell me where this is wrong. Till then, shut it. Anybody who's a born-again Christian needs to get out of the Catholic Church. Come out of her, my people, that you share not in her sins. The Catholic Church is a whore because it preaches a false gospel that's connected to Nimrod and Babylon. The priests, the miters, the cone things that they wear on their head, the Pope, all that has its origins in false religion. None of it is biblical. An infallible pope? What the heck is a pope? The kings of the earth committed fornication with her. She is drunk with the blood of the saints. The Catholic Church has killed saints throughout Europe. It says that in the Bible. They are drunk with the blood of the saints. And that is headed up by Roman Catholicism. But know this, in the end times, all these false religions are going to group up together because they all have the same origin. Satan. They're going to group up. Just like you have a one world system of government, you're going to have a one world religion. And they're both against God. That is not something I'm making up. People are trying to rebuild the Tower of Babel. They're trying. And we know what God did to the first one. He's going to do the same thing again. No, Michael doesn't believe in religion. Michael believes in a relationship. And even then, I struggle because as a human being, I'm beset with the struggle of my own flesh. I live with the reality that something I say can make a woman mad and she'll just walk off. Women are not made for a relationship in 2025 because they want to find a man that agrees iota right down the line that you got to be there. No, I'm not living that hamster wheel. Squeak, 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 squeak. You go run your habit trail, girl. I'm not in that cage. I do not have to measure up to any woman anywhere. I'm in Christ. It's been settled. I've been made righteous in the sight of God, though it doesn't always come out in me. Positionally, I've been made righteous through faith in Jesus Christ. And all you Christians that get on there condemning all these things I do and say and tell me how to live, you don't have a channel. You don't show your face. You're clowns. You're scaredy cats. And you want to hide back there and troll me just like the rest of the trolls. Grow up. Get right and walk in the Spirit. You got something to say to me? Message me. I get on here and I tell the truth about myself, which is more than most Americans will do. Look at these clowns, all these people associated with Epstein, all running around hiding. You felt it was so right to do it, pony up. I've talked about my sins. I've talked about being in the steam bath. I've talked about the girls I loved in Hong Kong. So what? God's forgiven me, and I will talk about it. It doesn't matter what a bunch of silly women in America think about me and my sins. It doesn't matter. And I'm telling people, don't seek to be married. The Apostle Paul said it. If you're married, don't seek to be single. That's the rub. We all have grass is greener syndrome. I know that I'm attracted to women. I have that attraction that God built within me. But then I think about, and once she's in my house, about a week of that's going to get old real quick. When the moodiness and the biatchiness and all the yucky stuff shows up and now you're trapped. No thanks. I cannot believe how I was blessed with the best roommate I could ever have in my life. I didn't think it existed. But I never looked at her for marriage. And I don't. I'm vain. She's a very nice lady, but she's older looking than me. And that's all I'm going to say. When we went to the flea market, people thought she was my mother. I'm not comfortable with that. Not. I'm aging too, but mine is much slower than most of the women my age. And I have lived long enough to see that women who snubbed me back in the day, they're the same women today where the body went to hell, where everything went to hell, and now they have an interest in me and I'm not interested in them. You didn't mock me when you were in your prime. And now that you're a rusty train going into the station, you want me to notice you. Too late. And people get mad at me for I'm sick and tired. I'm going to blast the women. Well, mate, not all women. I don't want to hear it. I didn't say all. Y'all got to have that last word crap. Stuff it. This is my channel. I'll biatch if I want to. I'm going to call it like I see it. I love women, but that's been my downfall. I need to love God more than I love women and their beauty. I'm not there yet, but I need to get there. All of us love something more than God. We in America are at a disadvantage because life is like a buffet. Think about it. Think about it. You got people on my channel, they're not going to go to church. They're not going to do what they're supposed to do. They're not going to tithe. But then they'll jump on me for what I say about women. Let me tell you something, folks. My sin is not your sin, and your sin is not my sin, but we all sin. And you are good at focusing on my sin, but ignore yours. Women, more than the other sex called men, have a big problem with a river in Egypt called denial. And it is a problem. Women are least likely to apologize, least likely to admit they're wrong, least likely to sit under the feet of a man who will tell them the damn truth. That's why the marriages go to hell. That's why women will not get close to me because they're scared shitless that I might look them in the eye and say, you're full of crap. Part of the way to grow is to face it and admit it. Because I can forgive, but I can't forgive if you don't acknowledge and you don't belong in my life. That is a recipe for marital failure. I'm so tired of all these women saying, he cheated on me, he cheated on me. Well, there's an awful lot of men that cheat on their wives. Is it because we're all pigs? Or is it because you did something? Oh, baby, let's get down on it. Because I'm going to put your back up against the wall. How many women antagonize and deride and crap on their men so much? And they go to work, and that one woman they work with every day is nice, smells good, looks good. Oh, he cheated on me. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? You go home to your wife. That's supposed to be your castle. And you got a dragon sitting in there going. A lot of women need to take accountability for their bullshit. And they don't. And we see this in the church. I see this in the church. I see pastors today, they'll talk about men's sins over and over and over. They're silent about the women. And you listen to women, I love my pastor. Of course you do. He never steps on your toes, sweetie. But we get them. I've been stepped on all my life by women, by preachers. I go to church, got to hear about masturbation, porn, and lust. Oh, here we go again. And you got women in the church with airs and dress barn clothes and laughing at dumbass stuff. People get mad at me. Women, let me say something. I love women, and I'm not, before you, whoever you are listening to me think I'm talking about you, stop taking it so personal. A lot of you women that I interact with, I respect you. Stop telling me what I can and cannot say. Stop telling me, well, not all women are the, duh. Tell me something I don't know. Please educate me. I'm so sick of that. And men on my channel said it one day. Man, you can't say anything. And these women, shut up and listen. Men got something to say too, but we don't get heard. The sitcoms for years made fun of us. The Democrat movement makes fun of us. They're against a patriarchal society. They're against men being the head of the house. And the churches, they claim to vote for Trump and vote in conservative politics, but they won't take on the women. And that's why women are bad in this country. Bad. They're rude. They're slut teasers. They're awful. I'm seeing it on my channel. Oh, I want to get to know you. I want to talk. Poof, gone. Cobwebs. I don't know what I said in the video, but something set them off. I messaged several this week. I want to say, did I do something wrong? I haven't even heard from you at all. No, you didn't do anything wrong, Mike. You told the truth. They got about hurt. They took their ball and went home. You're not going to hear from them. Delete them. Delete, delete, delete. Today, you're going to go into your Discord and get all these chicks out of there that don't even message you. Should I name you all? Should I name every one of you? No, I'm not going to do that. That's sleazy. So stupid. You don't want a relationship with a man. You want a relationship with a pussy that you can boss around and order around and make him serve you. Well, honey, this boy ain't doing that no more. It's not my job. What is my job? To go to work every day and pay my freaking bills. That's what my job is. What is my calling? To be true to my own self. To be true before God. To confess my sins before God. To witness. No, I ain't going to go knocking on doors. I ain't going to go tell people about Jesus at work. That just gets you into trouble. But on my channel, I'm going to cut loose and I'm going to put the turbo on high speed. And guess what? I'm learning. The channel's growing, but there's people leaving. Mostly women. You really pissed me off when you stepped on my toes about marijuana. I got medicinal marijuana and I've got a prescription. I'm 67 years old and well, good for you. You smoke pot. Thanks for letting me know. Why are you pissed? Have you walked in my shoes? Have you seen the way the pot smokers dealt with me on the bus? Do you see what I'm dealing with at work? Drugs alter you and they change you. And I'm watching this guy at work. I can always tell when he's lit. He changes, he gets worse. Let this world criticize me. I face this world every day without a controlled substance. I would have every reason to drink. I'm so tired of people defending their addiction. I have an addiction to lust. And it's wrong in God's eyes. But when it comes to marijuana and getting drunk, oh, well, you know. No, you do know. It's wrong. You women will condemn us men for cheating and having an affair in the mind, but you have no problem smoking a blunt. Get a grip, girls. You want a man or you want a mouse? I think our society has told us loud and clear, you want some thug. You want some clown in the prison system. You want to whine 30 years about the marriage you were in. He abused me. He hit me. He did this. Well, you were dumb. You dated him and married him. That's your fault. Did you vet him? The only difference for Michael Nelson in America about a date versus me going up and hooking up with a prostitute is absolutely nothing. It just takes longer to get to the sex part when you're dating, and you got to spend more money. Ooh, did you really just say? I sure did. Because the more women I meet, I'm like, this is not going to work long term, but she's cute. She's feeling it, I'm feeling it. Let's get rid of an urge, and I'm going to move on. A lot of women don't bring anything to the table that's worth holding on to after the orgasm is over. A lot of women don't bring anything to the table after the orgasms come and went. And that is what I look at. That roommate I had, I didn't have a sexual attraction, but she had all of the qualities that would make a damn good wife. Hard worker, got a retirement, smart. She left her marriage and left everything. She had a property that was worth millions of dollars. I opened my home to her because I saw that she was a decent human being. And I'm sad to this day she's gone. I could talk to her about any of this. She said to me, you're right about women. The preachers don't talk about them. And she said they're very entitled. They will not admit they're wrong. She goes, I work with an institution of women in a school district. They're a mess. Tina's one of the more well-adjusted women I know. But She plays the game because that's how she survives. She would massage my neck and my back. No, I was not naked. I didn't fool with her. She fixed me dinner. I didn't charge her rent. She offered to pay half of the removal of one oak, half the removal of half the Terminex. She'd offered to do that. And I said, well, I'm not even going to charge rent. And it was a fair trade agreement. But I would give her a reference to anybody, any day. You don't find women like that. Tina was the best woman I had. Living in my home. I can't even find that again. I'd love to have another Tina living in here. I don't want an F buddy. I don't want some emotional, moody, pot smoking, beer drinking. I don't want some ghetto queen in here. I don't want any of that. I don't want no more trouble in my life. I was sad when Tina moved. Her mom bought a house and didn't tell her and roped her into a mortgage. Oh my gosh. And I love her mother, but that was kind of wrong. But they have a relationship with each other that I've never had. Tina told me a story that I will never forget. When she was in high school, one of the relatives, not blood related, another high school guy like Tina, and her mother came into the room to find her sucking him off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she told me that. I said, oh, your mom had to be mortified. She kind of giggled and she said, well, all I know is the next day, he never showed up again. How would you, as a mother, look at your daughter if you came in and saw her giving head? Tina told me she had sex at the top of the elevator shaft in the machinery. They went up past, somehow got into the elevator mechanical housing. I said, man, you were naughty. She goes, I was. Tina had spunk. I'd love to hear her stories. I said, you don't look like somebody who would do that stuff. And you know what I liked about her? She was real. We could talk about stuff. I never had to be ashamed of my BS. Man, you cannot find that. Women are too sensitive today. Oh, I was hurt. I was abused. I'm not minimizing that, ladies. Please don't misunderstand me, but they want to carry it for 30, 40 years. Guys, don't date that. I watched a video this morning, bag chaser, Anton, had a black guy and they're saying, do not marry women that work at warehouses, Amazon, nail and hair salons, or nurses. I was like, and I've heard that about the nurses. There's more videos coming out about that. I'm like, really? I was married 14 years to an LPN. Now that got my attention, and that marriage was a fail, and I left it. Something about women that care provide, and they're very good at it, but they don't bring that into their marriage. Now, Michael doesn't say, oh, you're a nurse, so I'm not going to date you. I don't do that. But I listen to stuff. And I have to say, going back into the archives in my brain, if I pull the old hard drive database in my brain, some of the conversations I had with my wife of 14 years, her closest friends were all in the medical field, and they were all batshit crazy. Every one of them women. They thought they were all that on a stick, and they sat around in the house while I'm listening. Oh, my man was abusive. My man was verbally about. I said, you notice, honey bunch, all your friends say the same thing. It's all the men's fault. Well, they've been through a lot. I said, I listen to them talk, and I'm going to tell you, I see so many red flags. I couldn't live with them. You really think it's all the men? And guess what? I divorced her and she did the same thing. Michael was abusive. I said, abusive? You were verbally. I said, when did I call you the C word or the B word? Well, you raised your voice. I would talk to you about something and you would ramp up and get mad and yell. So, yeah, I raised my voice. Did you tell people you shouted when I tried to bring up a problem to talk about? Ah, you did editing. I left you. So now you got to go to your friends and say that there was something wrong with me. If there was something wrong with me, why am I the one that said I'm leaving this marriage? Usually, when there's something wrong with the man, the woman is saying, I'm out of here. Why is it that when I told you I was leaving, you had your hands in your chin, whatever, chin in your hands, and you went like this when I'm talking? I think that'd be wonderful. We bring the worst out in each other. It's almost like this sadistic smiling. I said, well, good, we're in agreements then. And a few days went by. She goes, do you think maybe you could live here? I won't charge you rent and you could shovel the snow. And I said, yeah, no. I said, if I'm leaving you, I'm leaving you. Then after a week went by, will you go to counseling? I said, nope. She went back to Blue Cross Blue Shield, the call center. Yep, Mike won't go to counseling. Did you tell your friends that when I tried to tell you, you and I need to go talk to the pastor, and you said, nope, I'm not talking about our personal business with the pastor? She didn't want me to leave. Listen to that, ladies. She didn't want me to leave. In fact, after I left her, after I went to Hong Kong, her and my son were saying, why don't you come back? Hell no. No. My life was hard after I left you. It was difficult. But I'd rather, no, freedom. Even if you're climbing over thorns and pissed on barbed wire, I'd rather do that to get to freedom than to stay in that mess. Yeah. My humanity is a struggle, people. I think, what if something happens to me in my house? Tell yourself something happens to you in your house. And didn't God say he'll never leave you, never forsake you? Doesn't he always bring people in at the right time to give you a direction to go or a job offer? Doesn't he do that? Trust God. Trust God even when you're used to doing everything in your strength. If you get to the point you can't do anything in your strength, don't depend on a woman. Don't depend on the system. Depend on the mighty God. Elijah, in the biggest drought in the history of Israel, was sent to a brook, and God sent 2 ravens to feed him daily. Oh God, I would love to experience that. Take me to the desert. Midnight at the oasis. I don't even have a camel. Shut up. I would love to live in a place and be all alone and actually see that. Sometimes life is a distraction. Women are a distraction. I'm in church. Watch this. Watch when I say this. Watch what the women do. Oh my God, he's a pervert. You got this moody teens in the choir. None of them are sweet or nice. They got that rest me face. I hate that. All the teenage girls today, they get away with that because their parents let them. And this girl is starting to grow and got some kahunas. She leans back. She's the first one up, leans all the way back, thrusts them up in the air. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was unintentional. What the hell was that? They're snakes. And women, if you get on my channel and say, not all women like that, I am going to hide you. Promise you. I got a right to talk about my experiences. And if you don't like it, maybe it's because I'm hitting a nerve. And maybe you need to look back in your life and see what you did wrong to your man and own up to it, even though you're long divorced. It's okay to tell God you fooked up. I did it in Oklahoma. Elk City was where I shed tears. It was spring, but it was winter in my book. 1989, April 14th, I made a decision that would forever change my life. I left Prescott. I bought an old Chevy van, 3 on the tree, packed my few worldly possessions and said, bye. And I set out to a place I'd never been before. First night, I followed the track of when I was married when we went to West Virginia. I stayed in Tucumcari, New Mexico at the KOA, and I stayed at Elk City the second night. The trees were void of leaves. There were some evergreens. They had a pool. It was dried and emptied. And I remember I was there in 86 with my wife. We stayed there 2 nights because it was a Saturday and a Sunday, and I didn't want to travel on a Sunday. We went to Assembly of God Church in Oklahoma, and some woman stood up and said, God has told me that Oak City is going to be under 20 feet of water. And I'm just sitting there going, okay, we got one of those in here. But I remember we were in the pool. She didn't go in the pool. She just sat there with her legs dangling over. And I was swimming. Then I was swimming like a frog the way I was kicking my back legs. And all the people that were there with their fifth wheels, and I had a 62 Chevy truck. I mean, this is 1986. People had their new, big pickups with their fifth wheels and their dualies. And here I am in a 62 Chevy. And as we're driving on, they'd pass us. Then you get to the next campground, you'd see them again. Oh, I saw you in Tucumcari. I remember a teenage girl wandered over to us and sat at our table and wanted to talk our ear off. I remember we were at Elk City. The kids in the pool wanted me to chase after them in the pool. I'm like, why are all these kids gravitating towards me? She's sitting there laughing. She goes, they like you. People call me a pedophile on the internet. I didn't pedophile no kid. Huh. And it was there in 1989 on a new journey and a new life as a single man. It was freezing, bitterly cold, overcast. Went under the pines, barbed wire fence, and there was the cornfields. And they had been shucked, and the brown corn stalks, furrows. And I wept. God, I'm sorry for the things I did wrong in the marriage of my first wife. This was wife number 1. We were manipulated into a marriage by her father, and I didn't try to, but I ended up hurting her feelings. And I'm sorry, God, and I need you to forgive me for what I've done. I'm scared going to this new place. I'm terrified. I've never been there before. I'm alone. I've left my dysfunctional family. I need you to be with me, and I need your forgiveness. And I cried. Oklahoma will always be special to me because God met me there too. That woman, I got in touch with her over a year ago. She had posted stuff on her Facebook, and I thought, wow, that's all about me. I messaged her. I said, I really want to talk to you. It's been how many years? I said, why are you playing a victim? I said, your dad manipulated the two of us to get married. And I said, I'm tired of being blamed for crap I didn't do. And she admitted, well, I didn't cry at his funeral. I said, your dad was wrong. We were both kids. We were both immature. And both of us did wrong to each other. You did, and I did. We were babies. Then she was married to a guy that she'd been with since after we left. She said he's an alcoholic and I'm about to leave out of here. And for a moment, I thought, if you leave, I'll give you a place to stay and I'll charge you cheap rent. And I didn't want to hook up with her. I would have done that. So the least she could see me as a different man than what she knew. I would have given her a place to stay. But when I talked to her, that self-righteous crap came up. She talked about other guys, and even they admitted. I said, you know what I've noticed? There's a trend. Everybody's wrong but you. I said, I'm done with you. I won't bother you again. I'm done talking to you. Play the victim. Everybody did you wrong, but you did me wrong. I said, and you never take ownership for that. And I blocked her, and I was done. I do have compassion. I would have given her a refuge in my place. She was even asking me, did you see my pictures? I said, yeah. She wanted to know if I still had sexual attraction to her. I did not. Funny how that works. I'm such a bad monster, but now you want to know if I still think you're hot. Not anymore. A lot of the women that I got Googa about, I look back now and go, what the hell was I thinking? To be honest, on YouTube is scary for most of the people in this country. It's easy to have a channel talk about other stuff and keep yourself in the satellite orbit out here. That's what most of these successful channels are. But then you got hate channels. You got that crazy fool on there, that trans whatever, locked onto me for some reason, didn't even know him, and he's making money. People are paying him to rip on me. Well, of course, it's 2026. If you believe in the Bible, you're a clown. If you're a conservative, you're a clown. These are the same people that rejoice when somebody like Charlie Kirk got killed. I'd rather go back to 1986 when I was in a pool and the kids in the playground knew I was safe. They wanted me to chase them and pretend I was a shark in the pool. The parents were up there laughing. They thought it was funny. They said, thanks for entertaining the kids. We could have adult conversation. They drive us nuts all day. I said, oh yeah, stuck in a camper going across country ought to be a blast. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? One kid wanted me to keep throwing him in the water. I said, no, I'm not picking you up and throwing you. Somebody get hurt. And he come up and splashed me. And I said, tsunami! Oh my gosh, you got it in my eyes. I said, you're going to splash me. Be ready to play. I take my hands and I go, and I said, I want all the kids to do this with me. Push up and down. And we had chop going on in the whole pool. It was slopping over the sides. When I do things, I do it with gusto and we have fun. You can't do that anymore. You can't tell you can't tell Sally she got a nice outfit. You might end up in HR and be out of a job. You can't look at a woman and admire her because you're a pervert and you're a pig. This is 2026. You're not allowed to say the word gay. Somebody might get offended. You can't call a man who was born a man. You got to call a ma'am or you could get fired. Isn't it a fun, stupid world? Randy Stonehill was prophetic. I remember my first wife, she played him on my boombox in the camper while I was driving. She's in the back, and I could hear a great big stupid world. I didn't really pay attention to him back then, but I'm like, it's funny. He was talking about us today. Stupid. Why was I born into this world? What was the point? Shoot, if I'd never been born, I wouldn't know pain, I wouldn't know suffering, I wouldn't know tears. Sometimes that's not so bad, is it? But I have to find something, and that's the truth. God allowed me to be born because he wanted a relationship with me. I don't know why. God is perfect. He's the only righteous and good. How do I have a relationship with God? I'm worried about, I got to do this. I got to go see the tax man today. I got to do this. I got to blah, 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 blah. I don't know. But that creator who made all this in 6 days wants a relationship with Michael. I don't have scented poop either. Why would he want a relationship with humans? We're gross, we're dirty, we're stupid. We're idiots, we're sinners. We violate God's commands at least once or 100 times daily. Even the little Sally self-righteouses out there do too. They just don't see their sin. This channel is unlike any other. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the sustained watching. I appreciate you guys because you know what? This is as real as it gets. I hate these, by the way. I hate wearing glasses. I thank God they enabled me to see better, but I hate them. They've always detracted. You get the wonderful privilege of being called a nerd or a geek. I take my glasses off, I look different. They do something called minification. It shrinks my head when you look at it this way. I have yelled at God, I don't know how many times in my life, God, why don't you just strike me down and get it over with? I've yelled at him and said, suffering is so stupid. I've yelled at him and said, you like watching lab rats torture? Is that why you do this? Now let's poke him again. Ew. Let's write what he did. Let's dump some strychnine on him. Yeah, God, that isn't good. Are we just lab rats? I hate that part in the Bible about suffering. It sucks. You see, we all got a little bit of Osteen in us, don't we? We want our best life now, and God says, You had the Snoopy snow cone machine, that's it. I'm working something better, Michael. Home. We want to make our paradise here. We think if we had the money, move to Tahiti. Guess what? There's some tribal butthole idiot there that'll get on your nerves. Doesn't matter where you go, people are sinners and they're idiots. You could go to paradise and there's enough fools there to drive you right back to a city. Huh. It's a great, big, stupid world. You can get on a sailboat. You can go everywhere. The only hope we have is through salvation in Christ. The only future we have that has potential, that is going to be better than anything we imagine, is if we're saved, we got eternal life. You reject that, there's nothing left. You reject God, you laugh at the Bible and all that, there's nothing left for you, bud. You die and you wait for when he casts you and all the names aren't written in the Lamb's Book of Life in the lake of fire. And if you think it's going to be a party and you're going to hear AC/DC and pass the wine coolers around, you're really ignorant. The rich man begged that Lazarus could come dip his finger in water and touch his tongue. Sounds like a fun place. They're going to wish there was a water park and a slip and slide. Truth be known, most of the politicians, most of these celebs are literally grasping a greased pole, waiting to drop into the eternal lake of fire. I need love that's strong. I'm so tired of being alone. But will my foolish heart play the part of the fool again before I begin? Foolish heart. And it is foolish in men and women. Women are emotional messes. Men can be devoid of any feeling. We both got our blessings and curses. And even I have seen over the years it takes a balanced mother and a balanced father to come together to produce a balanced kid. Anything less than that, you got dysfunctional express. Conjunction, junction. What's your dysfunction? How a child becomes a pill. It all starts with mom and dad. And in spite of all that, I didn't go grab a gun and shoot out a school or a mall. I didn't use my CDL to get a truck to blast through the front doors of a building. I didn't go buy a U-Haul truck and load it up with bombs and detonate somewhere. No, I'm just self-imploding every day. You dropped a bomb on me, baby. And I watch these girls act like girls. On and on it goes. Girls acting like girls. Guy at work said, Mike, it's Valentine's Day. Who do you got a date with? I said, the tax man. Tax man? Mike, it's Valentine's Day. I got taxes to deal with. There ain't no love for me. I said last night on live, I got a date with my hand. That's it. I love the freedom that comes with being honest. I'm tired of games and pony shows in a church. A church where we should be brutally honest. And you can't. It's all airs and games and let's play dress up. Oh, I love your outfit. Did you get it from Dress Barn? Yes, thank you. Oh. I got no time for all that. I don't care what people think of me. I've heard it all my life. You're no good. You're no good. You're no good. Baby, you're no good. Huh. God says I'm good. He made me good because when I put my faith in Christ, He made me righteous, and God doesn't make junk. I'm a piece of pottery, folks, or clay. It's not a finished vessel sitting on a shelf. I'm a walking, living, moving, breathing piece of clay that He's pressing in on and doing His thing. And I'm sure sometimes God says, you know what, I'm about ready to pick this up and toss it into the Grand Canyon. And I'd be the kind of guy going, wee, that'd be fun. And this big splotch of brown Play-Doh hits the Colorado River. Mommy, look, there's a turd floating down the river. Don't touch it, son. That's gross. Sometimes I feel like my life is a poop emoji. The way I'm treated by society. And you move to Georgia, the flies and the fire ants and the mosquitoes are for free. Fun. Let's eat on the internet. That seems to offend people. Thank you for listening. This is where it gets real, folks. You can listen to all the other channels that they're paying big money. I'm so glad that people can sit on their butt, have their little studio and a little mic and be full of that cockiness and make neon light outlines of their face. And I wish I had that life. But no. At the warehouse, I've been making my cash at the warehouse. I wish these people wouldn't last at the warehouse. Warehouse! Sometimes I get mad. People that are mistreating me I'm going to go get drunk tonight. Me and my girl. What are you going to do, Mike? You would ask. I'm going to do my laundry tonight. What? Why don't you have a girlfriend? Ask the females out there and see what they say. I do not have to measure up to any woman, anywhere, anytime. That's not what that book told me to do. I need a helpmate, and I haven't had it to date. I need a woman who's going to allow me to be the head of the house and not try to usurp my authority. I need a woman that can turn me on, not withhold from me. I need a woman that enhances my life, not hinders it. Is that too much to ask for? In 2026 in America, you damn right it is, because it doesn't exist. We're all broken. The same piece of pottery clay I am, so are they. And two pieces of pottery sometimes don't belong together. It's like taking the yellow Play-Doh and the blue Play-Doh and mashing it together. It still looks gross. Play-Doh colors were disgusting. By the way, Play-Doh. Most relationships between men and women is a feral cat and a raccoon with rabies. That ought to go well. They showed a picture of a rooster. Big, proud, and beautiful, and it showed the rooster after he was married. All the feathers were missing, and he was shaved naked and all. I'm sorry, but a lot of women in America bring more bullshit to a relationship than they were ever intended to bring. Not only are they not submissive, they're going to boss you around, drain your finances dry. And give you a headache. And tell you how you're not perfect. Duh. I never had to tell Tina, will you stop doing that? That's getting on my nerves. Tina was a godsend. She symbolized something. Helene affected me very much. I thought Thursday when I went home, I thought nothing's going to happen. A little wind, a little rain. Friday when it was still dark in the morning, Augusta got slapped and kicked in the balls so hard. And as people began to come out of their homes when the sun came up, everybody was stunned. And for days, I continued to stoke the burn barrel out in the front yard to be a light, to deter criminals and people who had any bad ideas. And I had my piles of slash and limbs, and it was strange because as I was moving around the piles of wood that I had stacked up, this black and midnight blue butterfly. I said, oh my gosh, Tina, look at this. She goes, wow, that is beautiful. I said, look at the colors in that thing. And it came near me and stopped. And then as I looked, it just suddenly, and I didn't see it, I said, wow, that was beautiful. Sometimes God brings people in your life like that butterfly. You can admire it, but it moves on. Tina was like that. You have to look at things like that. Tina was sent by God for God to reassure me that He loves me. I want to bring somebody to keep you company, cook you some home cooked food, and it'll help you. Because after she leaves, you're going to go through some stuff. There is a season. Not all good things last forever until we go to glory. Why was I born? The answer is simple, because God, that's why. But wait, my mother was married. She divorced the man. Then she fooled around with an old boyfriend and got preggers. I was a bastard. I was the true definition of a bastard. Not even sure my dad knew I was born. The way the adoption letter is written, my parents were good looking. One of them was blonde, one had red hair, one had blue eyes. I wish I'd had blue eyes. They were into water skiing and tennis, so they were physically active. No surprise there, right? People say, do you want to know your real parents? What's the point? I'm almost 60. What good would that do? Are they even alive? Did they survive COVID? Are they in California? What difference does it make? I think I was twice rejected. My mother thought it'd be better that I'd be born in a home. No, I think it would have been better for you to take me on and try, because the home I was born in caused all kinds of problems too. So I have a hard time with that whole adoption thing. The Bible says that we are adopted into the family of God. I'm like, well, adopted doesn't carry a good, positive, good, warm fuzzy with me. Blood is thicker than water. Michael, catch yourself. Blood is thicker than water. Jesus shed His blood for you, so you are family. Doesn't matter what these skid marks all over the internet say. Skid marks in a toilet bowl is all they are. They're going to stand before God, and God's going to tell them they're a skid mark. Say, depart from me. I never knew you, you worker of sin. Sat there on the internet going, that's it. Stupid. My channel is my therapy. It is. People don't know my story. They see me with my interesting style and go stupid about it. Yeah, I'm different. I sure don't want to be like any of them. If all you're doing is sniping on the internet all day, you definitely got some psychological issues. They need to get on this bus and get the hell out of town. That's perfect for them. Hood rat bus. 8 o'clock. I better eat some breakfast. Prepare to face the day. Day always starts better with bare naked, wildly delicious granola. I appreciate your prayers, your encouragement. Those of you women and men that have been through abuse too, We've got a common bond, don't we? Those of you women that think I hate on you, I don't. But I am going to call out your BS because it's just as irritating as my BS is. And yes, I need a helpmate, but only God can provide that. Mike, you should get on a dating site. Oh, please, let's do that stupid game again. I stopped in 2015. I haven't met a woman here. I haven't met any woman that's come my way that's worth her salt at all. How many people said they wanted to come down here and see me? Nothing. Of course. You will go after what you want. People say they don't got time. I always make time for what I love, including my sin. Huh. Funny how that works. If I want a deuce bad enough, I'll go buy a deuce. If I want to move bad enough, I will move. However, God has changed me. I will move when He says. Shining broken people holding hands. Shining broken people holding hands. We're broken, folks. Our society's broken. America's a plugged toilet. Every time you flush, it bubbles over the top, more crap. Go look at the SS United States, men and women. Type in current picture of SS United States. Look at it. Mine, it says funnels, all the windows pulled out and all the rust. Look at it. That's a symbol of America. Now go back and look at the SS United States when it was new. When that came out in 1952, that's when America was shining. It's amazing how much American culture and where we're at is reflected in that ship. She's about to be sunk, probably this year. How much longer before America itself goes? I can't even begin to worry about that. I just try to get through the day. But the Bible tells us, be anxious for nothing, but by prayer and supplication, let your requests be made known to God with thanksgiving. And the peace of God that passes all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. We have that as a Christian. We can go to God. We can approach His throne and pray. We will talk to everybody. We'll swipe up, swipe up, swipe up. How much time do we give to God? I'm as guilty as any of you are. We're distracted, and the devil loves it. All right, folks. I have vented my spleen. I'll leave you with this. I was born in the wrong era. And it's gone. (1952), she took the Blue Ribbon Award for the fastest transatlantic voyage. Almost 1,000-foot long. She blew the doors off the Queen Mary, which held the speed record. The Queen Mary was beautiful. I've walked on her decks many times. Sometimes it saddens me that life continually changes. Those solid, beautiful things that were so cool back then, they're relics of the past. I wish it weren't so. I wish that was a part of the normal world. We're all like ships sailing this life. I love the ocean, and I love the stories of people who sailed on it. Even in me, as broken as I am, there's a longing for beauty in music and things that you will never find on this earth. Clearly, God has created me for more than just this. This is temporal. Be safe. Enjoy your Saturday. And come back again, Lord willing, when He allows me to speak again my utter crazy rants that many of you enjoy. Thank you for the likes and your attention with all the channels out there. Thank you for stopping here. I appreciate you.